Bengals linebacker Vontaze Burfict allegedly stomped on LeGarrette Blount this past Sunday and had a dangerous hit on Martellus Bennett. He was fined $79,000 for his actions, but will not be suspended. Here's Burfict's head coach, Marvin Lewis, on that situation.
I don't think he did anything wrong. So I think we were not in the wrong here, and in my opinion. And it's unfortunate. And that was what I have told and stood on, and will continue to. I don't think he meant to do anything. And I've been through it back and forth, and as big as this board behind me, and hell, if I can see who steps where or whatever, I seem to try to step through and try to go help the teammate that has somebody from another team has his hand on his teammate's face mask, pushing him in the face, and that's what he's trying to get to.
Okay, so he was fined $75,000 this time. He's been fined over $279,000 throughout his total career, the most by any player that's been fined since he's been in the league. Stephen A., your reaction to Marvin Lewis's defense of his player?
Well, I'm incredibly disappointed by it. And, we sit on this show and, we debate back and forth. We get a bit fiery and what have you. It's a combination of knowledge, of information, of entertainment and stuff like that. But, at the same time, there's a level of seriousness that comes with it, particularly in certain situations. And, Max, this resonates with me because of Marvin Lewis. I'm a guy that's an advocate of African Americans. I don't apologize for that. I'm not against anybody. But considering the paucity of opportunities that have been accorded to African Americans, particularly on the collegiate level and at once upon a time on the NFL level, I'm inclined to root for them. That does not mean I'm not going to call it like I see it when they don't deserve it. When Lovie Smith was struggling in Chicago, I didn't say he didn't deserve to be a head coach, but I thought it was time for him to go from the Bears. I've been an advocate of Marvin Lewis being fired for years. And it's very, very simple. I don't know the man at all. I've only met him once or twice in my lifetime. But I firmly believe that any coach, I don't care who it is, that coaches in a particular place for 12-plus years and has never won one single playoff game, it is time for a change. It is just that simple. I don't care that he's been in the playoffs 5 straight years. I don't care that he's been in the playoffs 6 of the last 7 years. There's a guy by the name of Marty Schottenheimer that's going to conference championship games. And because of his inability to get to the Super Bowl, let alone win one, he can't get a job, and he's been out of the game for years. Why is Marvin Lewis still a head coach in this game? That's my attitude in terms of a head coach in Cincinnati. I'm not saying he shouldn't be a head coach somewhere else, but he shouldn't be in Cincinnati. But I say all of that to say this, Max. When you hear comments like that, it elevates the level of alarm that should come with him. Because we saw how Vontaze Burfict lost it with 22 seconds yet left in a wild card playoff game against the Pittsburgh Steelers last season that blew their chance. They had the game, he blew it. We saw him being out of control, a bit haphazard. We saw Marvin Lewis stand around and leave it to others to try and get in his face and calm down and turn instead of being the authoritative figure that he needed to be. Now we also have the backdrop of the fact that he has now been fined nearly $300,000 in his career because of one transgression after another. Whether it's Troy Vincent, whether it's the appeals officer Derek Brooks, Merton Hanks, James Thrash, the list goes on and on of people who have called, have emailed, have tried to talk to Vontaze Burfict. It has seemed to have been to no avail. And yet he goes out there 1 week after being complimented by the NFL for his behavior thus far after serving his 3-game suspension from what he did last year. And 2 weeks later, he finds himself in this situation again. And Marvin Lewis is going to come to his defense. If you didn't see him stomp on the leg of LeGarrette Blount, fine. What about the hit to Martellus Bennett? What about that? How do you sit up there as the coach who is supposed to be exercising control, discipline, authority, and you don't mention anything about it? What was he fined $75,000 for nothing? He's lucky he wasn't suspended. I'm rooting for Vontaze Burfict. I don't want him to get suspended. I don't want him to get banned for the league. This brother's overcome a lot. even though it's a story many have told and many people could tell about their own lives, it doesn't negate the fact he's overcome an awful lot of stuff in life, Max. I'm telling you what I know to get to this point. So I wish him nothing but the best. I'm just wondering how much better he can get if he has a coach disguised, or not even disguised, but a coach being an apologist for him, and that happens to be the same coach that can't win a damn playoff game to save his life. I just don't understand it. I really, really don't.
First, I want to comment on you commenting about an African-American coach, because it even shows up on my timeline where you're accused of making everything racial by many white people, I notice. And then I notice a lot of black people on my timeline accuse you at times of not understanding the racial perspective, which I don't understand either criticism in your case. I find and have always found you to be extremely fair-minded, sensitive to racial issues, of course, as a black man living in America, but very fair-minded. And the fact that you're criticized on both sides probably indicates that. That's the first thing. I just wanted to mention that. Secondly, about Marvin Lewis in this case, and I said just the other day about Vontaze Burfict, my problem with him, impulse control, going into the Pittsburgh playoff game, everyone was talking about it. Will he control himself? And my thought was, of course, guys don't act up when everyone's looking at them. They act up when no one's looking at them. Everyone's looking at him. Game's, incomplete to Antonio Brown. That play's over. On TV, they're showing they need 14 yards to kick a field goal, and that late hit, when the play was already dead, cost them 15 yards, just handed it to them. That's when I backed off of Burfict. I was kind of defending him a little bit before that. It's like, that's a problem. And I think his recent behavior goes on. I said he should get a 2-game suspension, 1 for each infraction. Let me just talk about Marvin Lewis's comments about that before I talk about Lewis. He's saying, look, he really didn't do anything. What I take that to mean is Marvin Lewis saying, look, this stuff goes on in the pile all the time. A guy gets stomped on. Big deal. That's the NFL. Yes, in a pile. When you're underneath a pile and no one can see. Not when you're on top of the pile and everyone can see it. It's on video, right? It's on TV. That's one. Number 2, certainly when you're not in the pile to begin with. It's not your pile. You walked over to that pile and piled on. That's totally different. So I find that disingenuous from Marvin Lewis's point of view. And then also the idea with Bennett, look, he went low, not high. The ball wasn't going to Bennett. The play was already over. The ball was going down the field, and he went low, not high. That's also like misdirection. You can go low, not high when you're tackling a guy, not when you have no business touching the guy. Why is Marvin Lewis saying this? And it speaks to your point of ineffectiveness as a head coach here. I think it's because it's inconvenient for him to lose Burfict, even lose Burfict's loyalty in this case. But I don't think that's the way good organizations are run. I think even when it's inconvenient, sometimes when it's most important to do it when it's inconvenient, is you say, look, yes, you're a valuable player to us. Yes, I want you to like me. I'm your coach. I want you to be a player's coach in that sense. But we can't have this. We got to do something about this. That's not the approach he's taking. Do I think that that's a fireable offense, or that the fact that he hasn't won playoff games is a fireable offense? I actually don't. I think last year the Bengals were finally really showing you signs in the regular season that they could make progress in the playoffs, win at least a game, and it wasn't the coach's fault that the quarterback got hurt going into the playoffs. So I have a little more leeway for Marvin Lewis in this regard than you do, but I don't think but I just wanted to mention off the top about the racial sensitivity that you have to this issue, given that it's a black coach.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. And let's just put it out there. White folks, some white folks, not most, not all, but some white folks call me racist. And some black folks call me an Uncle Tom. I don't give a damn about either side. I'm a fair-minded individual. I've been a journalist for nearly a quarter century. And I'm not going to, I would not have been able to be as successful as I am if I have biases and prejudices without being fair-minded. I pride myself in being fair-minded. Right is right, wrong is wrong.
Whoever says that about you is not paying attention. They're really not paying attention.
I don't worry about it. It doesn't faze me at all. I don't lose any sleep over them, and I tell them to kiss off to their face if they came to me with that. To be quite honest with you, I don't give a damn. And as far as me, touching on issues pertaining to black people, I challenge anybody. I put my record next to anybody in terms of the battles that I've fought on behalf of my community and continue to fight to this very day, having the platforms that I have available to me. Having said all of that, I can't ignore the fact that Marvin Lewis has been a coach in his 13th, 14th year in Cincinnati. He has not won one single playoff game. I do think there comes a moment in time where you need to look at somebody else and give them a chance to succeed, and especially when you're not willing to step up and acknowledge when one of your players, dare I say, may be a bit out of control. That doesn't mean you suspend or get rid of Vontaze Burfict, but it does mean that you got to employ some authority so he understands that he has to answer to you if he doesn't do the right things. And I don't think that's the case with Marvin Lewis, in my personal opinion. I don't know because I don't cover the team, but watching from afar, that's what I see.
We got to leave it there. When we come back.
Welcome back to First Take, presented by Bass Pro Shops.
The First Take, Your Take viewer contest is here, and you could win a chance to debate Stephen A. and Max right here on national television. All you have to do is go to firsttakeyourtake.com, upload a 1-minute video with your and only your best original sports debate. Please keep it clean, no music, team logos, trademarks, or copyrighted material. 2 winners will be selected by our show staff. So get to work, people. You could be here at the debate desk taking on these 2. Here are a few of the latest submissions.
Where is the love for Russell Westbrook? That's right, if I'm starting a franchise right now, I'm starting my franchise with Russell Westbrook, who I believe to be the second best player in basketball behind King James. He is the ultimate competitor, the ultimate superstar, the ultimate alpha player, and the ultimate triple-double machine, and my pick for league MVP this year.
The first player on that list will be Damian Lillard. He is what everyone wants. He's a tamer, under control Russell Westbrook. He controls the team, he's clutch and has a killer instinct and less turnovers than Steph Curry. Damian Lillard is the driver, unlike Kyrie Irving, Max, who's a passenger.
Kyrie Irving is a baller. He can play on-ball defense as well as shoot 40% from three-point range, as well as 85% from the free throw line, and he still shoots 45% from field goal range. The boy can flat out ball. He is the reincarnated Allen Iverson. You have to give that boy his props. And he had the MVP, the first unanimous MVP on skate, the entire NBA Finals.
Way to bring it. I like the emotion.
Russell Westbrook.
You got called out. They're ready to take you out.
I'm kind of liking it. I see, they're getting a little bit hyped up.
Yeah.
They're showing potential. It's not going to help them, not when they come up against us. But I will confess that they are putting it out there. I'm pleased. I'm pleased with a lot of the videos that I have seen. I must confess.
They're bringing it, no doubt about it. Yep.
No question.
How does he handle the big moment?
You have to take everything into consideration. Why? For what?
Come on, dude.
He sued everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Now we have to watch what's actually happening.
USA.
I'm good.